Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this one, we're going to be doing the Executioner's GreatAxe. This is going to be a Dragon Slayer GreatAxe build, if you remember that from Dark Souls 3. I know this has probably been done a couple times before, but I wanted to do my own build on this and basically make a really cool Executioner's GreatAxe build. Using Lightning Slash for a lot of damage, and then we're using Heavy Affinity, so we're going to be hitting really hard. This is a strength build with a little bit of extra lightning damage on the Ash of War that we're using. As we mentioned, it's Lightning Slash, which gives us an extra 85 lightning damage. On top of its good base physical damage, and if you actually look at the stats, this is very similar. They're not only in the animation itself for Lightning Slash, but also in the stats for the rounded weapon in general. It is a bonus that we get awesome crit with this. Eldenring's obviously a little bit of a different game since it's obviously newer and they've changed some of the basic mechanics and whatnot. But overall, it really does mimic the Dragon Slayer GreatAxe from Dark Souls 3, and that alone for me was really cool and enough to do a build on. That being said, before we get into this, if you're not on the Discord, there's even more people joining now, so definitely be sure to join that. And if you're not subbed yet, now's the time to sub to this channel. If you love overpowered PvE builds or just fun Elden Ring content in general, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now back to the build, I'm going to show you where to get everything. This is going to be a really interesting one, so you're definitely going to want to hang around and see the damage we get, to see the critical damage we get, and to see a really solid build around the Executioner's GreatAxe, which for me is one of the best GreatAxes in the game, given the fact that it has a crit bonus, it's relatively large in size, has an A in strength scaling with the heavy affinity, just does a lot of damage in general. This is a solid pick for a GreatAxe. Where do you get the Executioner's GreatAxe? We'll go to lake-facing cliffs in Liurnia of the Lakes, and there's a church there. There's going to be one guy that carries it here. This isn't the time that I picked it up. I had actually two of these, so I didn't really need to farm them. But this guy here drops it. Not a huge drop rate, but it's not too bad if I remember correctly. And once you grab that, you'll have a solid GreatAxe and powerful weapon. Probably aggro the guys behind him, and by the way, the enemies behind him, make sure you kill them when you're on the ground so they stay dead. The ones behind him also wield the Grave Scythe, which is another really high AR powerful weapon. It has near colossal damage, so that's something that you can farm while you're here as well. But this is the spot where you get the Executioner's GreatAxe, and here it is on the map here, just by lake-facing cliffs in Liurnia of the Lakes. Next up is where do you get Lightning Slash, so you can add that and make the Dragon Slayer's GreatAxe essentially with the Executioner's GreatAxe. And where do you get that? You get that in the Altless Plateau. We're going to go from the Outer Wall Battleground, Site of Grace, and then you're just going to keep going this way. Basically follow me here. There's going to be a Teardrop Scarab that drops Lightning Slash. And I'll show it on the map here in a second. And what Lightning Slash does, here it is on the map here. It's not too bad to get once you're in the Altless Plateau. Lightning Slash will slam down on the ground, doing for substantial damage. And then for 40 seconds, I believe, it'll add 85 additional lightning damage to your weapon on top of an already high physical base damage that we have with the heavy affinity. Alright, after the intro there and then where to get everything, we're going to take on some different bosses, some mobs, and we're going to see how good this weapon is, how much damage we can get out of it, show off the critical damage that you get from the GreatAxe as well, and make use of Lightning Slash. As far as the weapon itself goes, obviously the Ash of War is boosted by the Shard of Alexander like everything, and it does a substantial amount of damage, but afterwards I like using the charged attack, so I threw on the Axe Talisman and the charged tier so that we can get in some posture damage, take advantage of the critical damage, we're able to get a posture break, and in general, get a lot of damage out of those charged attacks on a weapon that has relatively high AR. And it does do very good damage. As far as the damage goes, it is solid. If you wanted to, by the way, you can also put this in the Lightning Affinity, but keep in mind that we'll lean it towards a Dex weapon, and I'd rather take advantage of that A in Strength and then just have the little bit of lightning damage as a bonus, and then be able to use that cool Ash of War with charged attacks. As you can see, the posture break here, and then we're going to be able to hit him. He didn't have much HP left, but usually for massive damage, given the crit bonus that the Executioner's GreatAxe has. We're going to take on some of the respawning dragons in Caelid here. There's something funny actually that you're going to want to see here, a little bit interesting. A little bit of a glitch happens, but we're going to see how much damage we can do to them. They take a little bit of extra lightning damage and see what we can do as far as the critical and the posture breaking and whatnot. It's time to take on this fight with the Executioner's GreatAxe and Lightning Slash, or we'll call it the Dragon Slayer GreatAxe. If you're a fan of Dark Souls, by the way, like myself, you're going to recognize that weapon. Very good weapon in Dark Souls, at least as far as AR and high damage goes. And here's where the sort of glitch happens. this dragon ends up getting stuck up here. I'm on Xbox Series X, and I usually don't see a lot of glitches anymore. This was actually kind of rare for me, but he was a little bit stuck on the side of the cliff here, and then he slid down, and then he ends up falling a little bit through the floor, but it doesn't end up killing him or anything. He's still able to fight me, as rough as that was. So I was kind of just standing here watching him, but yeah, a little bit of a glitch there. Doesn't matter though, because the dragons are going to go down right now, and the Executioner's GreatAxe does substantial damage, as you can see, as we're fighting different bosses and enemies. The damage in AR is very good. Now it's time to take on the second dragon and try to get a posture break. By the way, these dragons are a little bit tough to fight. Not that they're overly complicated, they don't have the fire breath attacks or anything, but I did notice that as far as their feet slamming down, their tail swipes and whatnot, for some reason, I'm just not able to dodge them as easily as some of the other dragons. I have no idea why, maybe it's just me, but either way, we're able to get in a good amount of damage here and take on both of these dragons with the Executioner's GreatAxe. I recommend trying to get as many charged attacks as you can, and especially given the fact that we have good damage, substantial damage. And as you're going to see here, we're able to get a posture break, which is huge. That is really beneficial with the GreatAxe, as I mentioned. That extra crit bonus is huge, and we're able to finish off the dragon there with a critical attack. Pretty much perfect timing to end both of them. Then we're going to take on Margaret here, a little bit of a side boss, but sort of a variant of a main boss. But we're going to be getting into build, stats, equipment, everything that you need to know soon, so definitely be sure to stick around for that. We're going to show this off on mobs as well. Also, I have a fun rating that I do on builds, and the one that I did yesterday for Giant Hunt, it was really fun too. That was definitely up there, but this is really high up there as far as fun goes. This is something that I found really enjoyable, that was kind of refreshing, being able to throw Lightning Slash on a weapon that I enjoy in the Executioner's GreatAxe and basically turn it into one of the weapons from Dark Souls 3. Even though probably it's been done many times before, it's still a lot of fun to do this simply for the fact that it's just enjoyable. It's an enjoyable Ash of War. It's something that can hit really hard, as I mentioned, and again, I really do like the critical bonus on some of the bigger weapons in the game, because that's not something that you see too often, so that's a nice bonus to be able to get high crit, high damage, high AR, and I like the heavy affinity, the A scaling. And then again, Lightning Slash is just a cool Ash of War. And if you haven't used it, I believe you're going to find it enjoyable as well. And as you can see on mobs here, basically jump attacks, charge attacks, whatnot, simply the AR, the damage we're getting off the weapon, is able to take on any of the mobs or individual enemies in the game with ease. And before we get into stats, equipment, everything you need to know, I just want to say one more time real quick, I'm going to continue to make as much Elden Ring content as I can throughout the spring, throughout the summer, and then when DLC comes around, we're going to be hitting that really hard too. To be honest, I can't wait. This has been so much fun so far doing this channel as a whole. It's been great. Let's get into equipment and everything you need to know. For equipment, we have the Executioner's GreatAxe with Lightning Slash on it, plus 25 and heavy affinity. We have any seal will do. We have the Banished Knight set on because it looked cool. Shard of Alexander, the Axe Talisman or the Dagger Talisman. That one's up to you. You can use the Dagger Talisman to even more crit. And then Dragoncrest, preferably the Great Shield, Ritual Swords Talisman. And then we're going to be using the Charged tier and then the Faith tier, so we could do some additional buffs and get even more damage out of this build. For stats, this is the same stats that I had on my build yesterday for Giant Hunt for the Guts Greatsword. You can do either one of these builds with universal stats, essentially, because you need very minimal dex. You're going to invest heavily into strength because we're going for the heavy affinity, and then we have at least 50 vigor, and you can get a little bit of decent armor as well, and everything else is pretty much up to you. Basically, the more strength you get, the more damage you're going to get out of this weapon, and everything else is just a bonus as far as the little bit of extra lightning damage we get with Lightning Slash. And now we're going to get into buffs, which is pretty simple for this build. So for buffs, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to drink our tier because we want to be able to get to 25 faith so that we can do Golden Vow, and then we can do Golden Vow, and then Flame Grant Me Strength, and then we're going to fill up our FP, and then after that, we get to use that really cool Ash of War and Lightning Slash that gives us the bonus lightning damage as well, and then hit really hard with some charged attacks, jump attacks, whatever you want to do from there. You're going to be doing a lot of damage. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, by the way. I hope this helps you build a Dragon Slayer GreatAxe build. I hope this is also helpful for people who are looking for an Executioner GreatAxe build that takes advantage of charged attacks, crits, all that, and the massive damage you can get out of this weapon. I know I've said this before, of course, but if you're not on the Discord, definitely be sure to join it. It's over 400 people there. We're doing weekly challenges as well. The weekly challenge for this week is very simple. It's just to beat any boss using only a weapon skill. If you're not subbed and you love overpowered PvE builds, be sure to check out all the awesome builds that are on my channel. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will catch you guys there.